pleasure touring part of this historic 1920s home last week. But today we're back to check out the rest of this gorgeous property and learn a little bit more about the challenges of restoring a historic home.
Hi, I'm Matthew Meehan. Welcome back to my home. So happy to have you back here in the heart of Coral Gables doing a historical renovation. You can't just go to an IKEA and buy something off the shelf. It's not that easy. I wish it was. It takes a lot of time, a lot of research, and it takes a lot of love.
Get ready for part 2 of this amazing home tour on today's SoFlo Home Project. Welcome to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra. Renovation is a great way to preserve history in older homes. This house has hosted some amazing social gatherings over the last century. If these walls could talk, I imagine the tales they could tell. Built in the mid-1920s, this 8,500 square foot home has 5 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms. It has taken years of meticulous work to restore this amazing home to its former glory. So this morning we are back here in Coral Gables for part 2 of this gorgeous historic home tour with homeowner Matthew Meehan. Matthew,
Thank you for coming.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So we're excited to jump into the second part of our tour this week. We saw a lot of beautiful spaces, and now we are in, I think,
my favorite.
I'm going to say this is
the
mine
kitchen.
too.
Yes.
It's not even my home. When you embarked on this project, the kitchen, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, what did this look like before you got your hands on it? Because I'm curious to know what was original.
It was a hodgepodge, really. When we went back into the microfiche film department, we actually found the room that we're standing in was a chauffeur's room. There was a housekeeper's room, and the kitchen was actually pushed forward a little bit over here.
So,
this was staff
smaller.
quarters. Exactly. Okay. They were small little rooms.
So you've grown into the space,
so we
made it larger
reimagined it
Yes.
back in the sort of deco-ish 20s style with a touch of European elegance as well.
Absolutely.
But we really tried to stay true to the period of the home while keeping things modern as well.
You've mixed so many great materials here that all complement one another, but all shine in their own right.
You can pick up just little tiny notes of that orangey terracotta color in the Sandalato marble that we have. I'm actually pulling that tonality from the original terracotta picket tiles that we already visited in some of the other rooms. So that continuity and flow throughout the home.
And that's the thing, we looked at other areas of the home that you've updated and restored, but the kitchen, because you were pretty much renovating the space, tying in those things that makes it, you know, sort of really play well with the original. Right. Is this, I love the veining as a tie-in.
Yes.
The parquet floor.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, because this is where we have a surface change.
Correct.
We have the original flooring in the other areas of the home. Talk to us about kind of getting that contrast and selecting the right material.
We brought in French white oak and had a team of artisans actually come out and plank by plank that created the design that you see.
I love that. I love the way you are also bringing in some things that you love in other areas to kind of bring to the design style and the feel of this home. The La Cordu range.
Yes, my baby.
This is the range.
I love to cook.
And the color, the black, great choice.
Yes.
Plays with the window frame so well, brings that contrast.
You know, I wanted something very bold against all of the delicate tones that we have in the kitchen.
I love that you have the polished nickel accents
Yes.
on your faucets, and then the brushed gold, brushed brass accents throughout, that mix of metals.
I'm a huge believer in mixing metals.
Lots of great mixed metals, lots of great stone from the countertops to these sinks. We've got, I mean, this is not just a run-of-the-mill, off-the-shelf sink. This is hand-carved?
It is. So my friend here in South Florida, Daniel Toro, owns a quarry in Andalusia, Spain, And these two sinks in the kitchen were actually quarried from his quarry.
Everything has a little bit of a story, and that's what's so great about homes like yours. Now let's talk a little bit quickly about the windows, because I'm curious of what was original to this.
When we renovated the kitchen, the ceilings were much lower. So no, those round or Palladian windows weren't there.
Love those.
We lifted the ceilings, added the beams that you see, again, in a historically appropriate pattern.
Absolutely.
Added the Palladian windows. The reason why I did that, here in Coral Gables, across from the Biltmore, you have the Coral Gables Congregational Church, and that's actually a fine example of the arches incorporating the Palladian windows just above the arches.
I love
so it was
this
already
so
used
much.
here in the city, so it again is historically accurate.
And it fits so well in scale within this kitchen. And what I love also is the way you've mixed the mosaic and then the cork wall covering above. Like, it's so nice that you carried this beautiful backsplash throughout. It's such a nice addition of material.
Can you tell I love stone?
I could see there's a beauty of all things stone, and it wraps around the whole kitchen. Matthew, this kitchen is stunning. There's
Thank
more
you.
to see.
Yes.
And we are gonna bring you through the rest when we come back. Coming up next, we discover this award-winning kitchen's hidden surprises on SoFlo Home Project.
We're going to a beautiful home that was built in 2018 to learn why they decided to change out their windows and doors on today's SoFlo Home Project.
Welcome back to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra, and we are continuing our tour of this fabulous Coral Gables home with the homeowner, Matthew Meehan. Matthew, we saw one part of the kitchen before the break.
Yes.
Now we are on the other side.
other side.
It's a large kitchen, so there's a lot to see. This award-winning kitchen was designed to host large gatherings. It includes multiple prep areas, a butler's pantry, and a wine cellar. It is the gem of this historic home restoration. And we had two islands.
Correct.
In the main part of the kitchen. And then on this side, we're a breakfast nook, eat-in area.
That's right.
As well as additional prep.
Exactly. So I do a lot of entertaining, my husband and I, and we wanted a kitchen that was conducive to having a lot of people in it. You know, when you have a lot of people in a kitchen, people get on top of each other.
Yeah.
So we made sure to have the double island and then a whole separate eating area and another sink area as well, so that dishes can be expedited to one area, maybe while I'm still cooking. The table here has a fun little story behind it.
Everything's got a little story. I'm loving this. As we tour through the home, we get little bits of history.
Exactly.
And great stories. What's the story behind this?
So this was one of those unexpected finds at an antique shop. It is a Maison Janssen stamped, signed table, but unfortunately it had been lacquered over. One look and kind of knew what it was, and
You knew how.
went on the underside, acquired that, and then had it refinished.
This kitchen, it's so elegant and beautiful. Now, there is a stunning mirror above. Is there a story behind this as well?
There is. So this was at one point in time a part of a dining room at a chateau somewhere in France, and more than likely it was over a fireplace. So here in this household, there's a bit of a disagreement between televisions in a kitchen. My husband loves TVs in a kitchen. I don't like TVs in a kitchen. So this was a happy medium. I actually put two-way glass. And there is a
Wonderful.
television behind it.
Really the best of both worlds. So Matthew, we've seen a lot of beauty in the kitchen, but it continues into the butler's pantry.
The entertaining continues that direction.
That's right, the entertaining certainly does, because there's also a wine cellar.
That's right.
A beautiful one, and we are gonna check that out. But first, let's check in with our friends from FHIA and see what they have going on today.
So meeting with this family a few months ago, we recognized that the home was really recently built. In fact, it was built in 2018, and they had just gone through one hurricane season of putting up their paneled shutters, and they decided they never wanted to do that again. So they had us come out and we talked to them about a lot of different options. We showed them several different manufacturers, a lot of different products, and they ultimately chose a great product from Custom Window Systems that's going to provide everything they were looking for. They wanted the hurricane protection, they also wanted energy efficiency, as we're going to see, they also wanted to cut down a lot of the sound associated with the road behind the home, and they've already seen a significant difference in that. So I'm anxious to see how everything turns out and learn more about this installation. So even with the home being built as recently as 2018, it still required a lot of additional work before we set in the new windows. These homes weren't built for a window as strong as what we're putting in, so we rebuilt this opening with new wood buck frames so that our new frames, window frames, can go into this and make sure that the family is really safe for the next storms and all the storms to come. So I'm going to get out of the way and let these guys finish up. So I have no idea why they wanted to cut down the outside noise when they were deciding to change out their windows. I just don't see what's wrong with this. But if they do want to get rid of that noise, they can just close the windows and it'll be a lot more peaceful in here. So I know they're excited about that as an option. So some of the windows have been completed already. This window looks fantastic. It's exactly what the homeowners were looking for. They wanted to keep the same cosmetic look with the bronze frames. They also wanted to have the hurricane protection with the energy efficiency. So with the Solar Max technology, it's going to reflect the radiant heat away from the space, making the family room a lot cooler, a lot more comfortable for them. So everything here is done, turned out perfectly. I know the family's really happy with all the decisions they made. The crew's going to finish up around the other side of the house, but everything looks great. Back to you, Elena.
So Matthew, we have this additional prep area, which we briefly touched on.
Yes.
But then behind us, we got a whole lot more. Let's first talk about the wine cellar. Well, it is a really gorgeous wine cellar.
Right.
You've got
barrel tile ceiling.
The barrel tile
Exactly.
ceiling is just lends itself to the feel. You have a tile that mimics, it's got the archway. And there's a beautiful tile design, and let's talk about that because that looks like it's custom done to fit exactly there.
It is. Good eye.
I knew it.
So the very back of the wine cellar actually is marble pieces.
Okay.
And it is a hand-painted design on the stone.
Now, I love this wallpaper and the whole rest of the butler's pantry. This is also, again, the same cabinetry finish, but you kind of, same backsplash and counter, but you flip it.
Exactly.
And then that sink's a little different. We've got a hammered sink there with the metal detailing. Because there's so much polished nickel detailing throughout here, I love that like pop.
Those
and
mixed
of course,
metals again.
the mixed metal hardware, which we love that detail. Coming up, we admire the level of detail that went into restoring the dining room on SoFlo Home Project. Welcome back to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra, and we're continuing our tour of this gorgeous Coral Gables home with the homeowner, Matthew Meehan. Matthew, we have seen the kitchen spaces. We've seen some other great entertaining areas, the wine cellar, got the butler's pantry, and then at the other end of it, the dining room.
Right. We're in one of the more historic portions of the home now.
Across from the kitchen, we find the dining room. An amazing level of detail went into bringing this space back to its original glory. So, and this part of the home has original flooring, as we
Correct.
saw earlier in last week's episode. So this is the main
This is
space.
the original terracotta picket tile that we're proud and so happy to be able to restore.
So this was actually a dining room in its previous life.
It's always been a dining room.
So this is the
Exactly.
one thing. The
This
kitchen
is-
has seen a lot of changes, but this room has always been that. Still a very large room considering this is a home built in the 20s.
There's actually three more leaves that go into that table.
can see
So it's
quite
a
a lot.
16 person dining room table. So we can have some pretty large dinners here.
Very nice. Now, what's behind us here, this fireplace?
So this fireplace actually is original to the home. This is the original relief. We had it restored. When we were working on other portions of the home and trying to decide different elements to incorporate, this is an example of where we were pulling some of those elements from. A fireplace here, we have other fireplaces in other portions of the home. So anytime we could take an element from an original relief or carving or ironwork, we used those original elements that are historic to the home to create those new spaces.
I want to talk about the ceiling because this is another thing that you look at and you wonder, original, restored, new. What is it?
Yes, the ceiling actually is not original.
It looks
but
like it could
we had it done to look like it was. So there's tiny imperfections in the ceiling, and we did that on purpose to make it look like it's aged through the years. A fun little tidbit about the home, it was modeled after a tower in Seville, Spain. And the ceiling that you see here in this dining room, this ceiling pattern actually exists in that tower as well.
I love
And so
that.
we were able to find copies of the casts.
This must have taken quite some time, yes?
It did. So there's 2 different tiles, and each tile you could make about 1 per day. So they were able to make 2 tiles a day, basically.
Wow.
And so then we actually had it faux finished to match identically the original stone, which is our fireplace. And it's a perfect match.
Yeah, it really truly is. I mean, you look at one and you look at the other, and it tricks the eye, and that's
It
what we
does.
said. That's what good design and all the great detailing does. Coming up, we go poolside to admire an underwater work of art on SoFlo Home Project. Welcome back to SoFlo Home Project. I'm Alena Capra, and we are continuing our tour of this fabulous home in Coral Gables with the homeowner, Matthew Meehan. Matthew, we've seen a lot. We've had 2
Yes.
episodes worth of touring your
A
home.
lot of history.
Yes, lots of great history. And now we are in what I think is the crown jewel of the house, this beautiful pool. This was not original to the home.
So when we bought the house, everything that you see right here was grass. There was
Wow.
grass all the way up to the home.
It fits the style of the architecture. All of the mosaic in the pool, brings in the details of the columns and everything else.
So remember inside the dining room that we visited?
Yes.
The relief on that original fireplace is what you see on the pool floor. So
I love
when we were
that.
coming up with the concept of what to do in terms of a mosaic, we wanted it to be something that was historically accurate, right, for the home and not something that's just
Absolutely.
random. So what we did is we took the wreath concept, we took the torch that flanks both ends of the pool, and then of course all the filigree that you see. And
So it truly is such a perfect nod to the beautiful original design details in the home.
you know,
Old and new.
sometimes in design, I always feel like if something doesn't stand out, it's correct. Right? We always see
point.
something when it stands out like a sore thumb.
Right.
But a lot of times when people don't notice something, that means it's probably done correctly.
That's when you
And
hit
we
the
really
nail right on
really
the head
wanted
with that.
something to just be.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about color.
Yes.
So beautiful shades of blue. A pool fully done in mosaic it's just such an amazing thing to look at. How did you come up with knowing you wanted that? Did you want it to mimic anything in particular?
So my good buddy, Ray, actually owns a company, Mosaic Assist, and
Yes.
we collaborated together.
Right.
We wanted to go with something that was very moody.
Yeah, it's very
You-
rich.
You,
and
think
deep.
about the Mediterranean
Yes.
and the Aegean Sea. We wanted to have that depth, that richness of color.
So taking
we,
the color from nature, but
Exactly.
not necessarily our water here.
Right.
But
more
somewhere else.
Mediterranean.
Yes.
Exactly.
I love the tonality, and I love the way it's brought through on this bar.
So we
Beautiful
chose
mosaic
stone,
detail.
actually, the Bahia Blue right here
Yes.
from Brazil. We brought in as the countertop, and it's a perfect partner component with the
Absolutely.
Murano
Ties
Blue
in all the red
Series
undertones.
tile that we chose.
And I love that this is I like this is stepped up. So you get the perfect view of not only the pool, but the home. And this is quite an outdoor space.
And we love it.
I want to thank you, Matthew. This tour of your beautiful home and seeing all of the details and how you restored, renovated, true to the architecture, and made it your own was wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you guys for coming out. It's been fun to share.
Thank you. And now let's take a look at what design inspiration we have planned for you next week on SoFlo Home Project. Next week on SoFlo Home Project, if you're not sure what direction to take your next home renovation, tune in for some inspiring design ideas that will help get you started. And now we're happy to be back checking in with our friend Hunter Frankie, the host of SoFlo Health, to see what he has going on tomorrow.
Hey there, Alena. Tomorrow on SoFlo Health, we're with Cannibal as we explore the Florida Everglades and a local recreation park you won't want to miss. Plus, we learn about the difference between pickled and fermented foods and which is better for your health. Personal trainer Morgan Shapiro teaches us a boot camp style workout that you can do with a little bit of equipment. And finally, we go over some percussive therapy tips that'll help you relax and recover your muscles. It's all tomorrow right here on SoFlo Health at 12:30 on the one and only Local 10.
Thanks, Hunter. We will definitely be watching. And to our viewers at home, thank you so much for joining us for this two-part home tour. And we hope to see you again next week for another episode of SoFlo Home Project right here on Local 10. And remember, there's no place like SoFlo Home. If you missed any part of this episode, or if you're looking for more design inspiration, make sure to check out all episodes online at SoFloShows.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram.